All right, so have you ever wondered how do Google people create their REST API where it looks like a bunch of gibberish, but it actually works for what it needs to do? So, for example, this is one of the API that they have. So, what that looks like, this plain URL. When you go to it, put it in the browser. It looks like this. Let me just refresh this page. So it looks like a whole bunch of garbage to people who don't know what the hell it is, unless you want to spend like weeks, if not months, trying to decoding what that is. And that's about it. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. It like seems like a never ending, but eventually it does end. But nonetheless, this is what a REST API does. And this is what I want to show you how you can build it in your project. So this is the little test project that I created. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. In my next video, I'm going to show you how you take this principle that you're going to learn and put it in a way that you can make about $1,000 a month with that REST API. And if you want to learn how to make that kind of money, make sure you subscribe, and that way you can watch my next video when it comes out, which is going to be pretty soon. So let's go on with this particular project where we are going to be building this. And this is just a regular browser data. That's all it is. Basically, it just gives you all the different things, like for example, your timestamp, device, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go too much into it because I will leave a link in the description for you to go ahead and download this in case you want to include this in your project, which will help make your project 100 times better. So this is what we're going to build, but behind scenes, just to show you, it looks like just like this. There's nothing in the body. There's nothing else except this one little line of code. So let me zoom that up for you. So this is pretty big. So I obviously have this on my local host called Google REST API under test, which is the route. And if I click on this, and let me zoom on out because it's too much now. It looks like a whole bunch of gibberish. Like if you try to decode that, I mean, you can. It will take some time. But if you are creating for an end user who just wants to actually work and the thing that you are created is just going to work, this is just going to be a bunch of gibberish. No one is going to be able to understand that, at least at a beginner level. So having said that, that's what this does. So let's go ahead and learn how you can use this REST API, include it into your page where you can do some things, and then do it in your project, right? So let's do that. So let's start with this particular URL. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy it, and we're gonna go over here. This is the URL. This is the project that you're gonna get access to it when you click on the link below to download it. And let's deep dive into that particular project, see what we got. So in here, I'll start from fresh. So I'll start all over again. I'm gonna delete all this mumbo jumbo. So we got app folder, and this is running all on my local host, obviously on my computer, and I'm using XAMPP to run it. And in case you don't know, you could search for the video on my YouTube channel, but just to give you an idea, I guess quickly, you could just go here and call it XAMPP and then download it from here, install it. For the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory, nothing crazy going on with that. And then once you have it, you're going to get to the screen. You want to click on this start. All right, let me just go ahead. Stop it. So you're going to see this particular screen. All you got to do is click on start, and then you have yourself a local host running on your computer. It's pretty straightforward, right? So let's go on. So that's what's happening here. So this access to this particular project will be linked in the description where you can download it. So the first file we're going to go over is the index.html. And this is just to say this is on New York time for the sake of this project. It doesn't really matter. You could just completely delete that. And then followed by all of this mumbo jumbo is basically what that does is gives you the URL on the root directory of that particular folder. So for example, this is the root directory of the folder. So it's going to give me everything up until here and anything on the left side of it. So that's what this does in PHP. And then I'm saying allow any and all kind of cross domain things. So if anybody wants to access it, they can access it here. And then this right here, this code, you know what? Let me make it bigger a little bit so you can actually see it. But if you don't see it, don't worry about it. You're going to be having the ability to download the link from the below so that you can actually see it on your screen. Much bigger than this. But the sake of the video, I want to make sure you understand what I'm talking about. And not be like, what? I think that's what he said. I'm not really sure. But all right, so this is the absolute path, which means that if I go over here, and you know what, let me just open it up. So this is the absolute path to the demo folder. And that is what's happening in here. And this is like on the server level or on your local host level, that's what it is. So it's gonna give you the absolute path to the folder. And then I'm just saying, once you get into this folder, which will be here, then go into app folder, which is right here. And then I'm including a couple of files, which you're going to find it very cool about it. I love it, both of these, as you will see soon enough. So the first one is the secure route. It's just a routing of you going from different URL, like for example, codewithmark.com/test, codewithmark/help or about or whatever. One of those forward slashes, that's what is happening in this particular route. And then this is my pride and joy, baby, where I have created this. And this little bad boy will help me create or encrypt or obfuscate, however you want to call it, to make it look like this. And this happens all on the fly. So that's pretty cool library. And once you get the hand on this library, you're like, my God, Mark, this is amazing. All right, enough about that. Let's move on. So this library over here is just gonna include it, and it's gonna say create a secure route, and then followed by the routes folder, routes file, and then it's gonna dispatch it. And then all of this will be happening in this apps folder. So first thing what we're gonna do is let's look at the libraries first, all right? So we're gonna go to apps, we're gonna go to libraries, and then this is this file. Let's go to secure route, which is right here. A whole bunch of things, and you're gonna get access to this, and that's that. And then let's go over here. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I did leave a detail comments and notes for you when you go to use it, because when you see those, you'll be like, damn, that is badass. And you know what I will, when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So let me leave you with that. So I'm gonna delete that out, delete this out. So we got these two files. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but if you like curious, like I wonder how he actually built it. I wanna know how he did it so I can do it for my project. Yeah, so that file is there. Go ahead, do it, slice it and dice it any way you want to. And then that way you can use it on yours. So let's move on. So the routes folder, which is this. And the test file, it's not really doing anything. I'm just going to delete that out. So let's go to the route file. So I'm going to remove this, go over here, and that's where most of the things that happens. The first route is just the, hey, hello world. So let's go there. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over here and call it, let's just go over here, and then boom. So it just says hello world. Nothing, because that's just the plain route. That's the root of that particular route of the route directory. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Yes, it does. So basically anything that goes like at the home directory of your website. So for example, codewithmark.com. That is the root directory of my website. And anything that I put in here, that's where it's going to show up. Followed by the sub URL. So for example, codewithmark.com / about resources, gift, help, all of those routes will be associated here. And then the secure routing that I included in here, it allows you to create dynamic routes, which means I could just put an asterisk in here. So anything after the slash, I could put literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. It will take it and it will go run through this particular code. But this is only for testing. That's why I didn't validate anything. But obviously, if you're using this for your own project, you want to make sure this variable that you can call it in here, call it, I don't know, ID or something like that. And then you can call it, no, not that, API, right? And then you can use this, validate it in your database or in your logic, however you want it to work it. I will leave it completely up to you, but I just want to show you how that goes. So let's say you have this one parameter, right? And then let's say if you want to have another one, you can literally just go ahead, copy this, paste it in here and call it 1. And then over here, call it a API, AP1I, 1I. And then I'll call this the $sign. Boom, done. And then this becomes this. So I got API, and then I have API, AP1, and then this is how you can build your own route, just to show you, right? So I'm gonna undo all of this, just so we can move on with this tutorial. So here it is. So I got API, that becomes an ID, and then later on you can do whatever you want with it. Within your project, you can validate it to say if it's equal to about, then let it in, otherwise throw an error message saying that, hey, this route doesn't exist, yada, 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 yada. So that's that. And then I have this library called the browser data collector. So I have left it as a minified as well as unminified. So this is right here. So if you want to go through this, deep dive into it, like, oh my God, this is pretty cool. So I could take this particular function, extract it out of it, and then I could use it somewhere else. By all means, go for it. And that's under the full version. And then this is the minified, which is basically I just minified the whole thing. And that's that. And that's what's happening in here. So I'm just saying within PHP, so I'm going to close this out. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to close it out. So this is the function within PHP. It says get file content, and this is the path that we had already described. I mentioned it before, where it goes to the path folder, app folder. So we'll just to show you is this one right here. No, this one, sorry. The one above it, absolute app folder path. Absolute app folder path. It's gonna get to the root directory, and then it's gonna go, hey, this is the app, and then within the app there's a JavaScript folder. Within the JavaScript folder there's this particular thing. I'm gonna go do that. And then within that there is this JavaScript file, and then there's this. And then let me take a look at this just to show you. The apps.js folder, and in file rather. And in here, I'm saying whenever the document is fully loaded, and you will see soon enough how incredible and powerful this particular methodology is. Once you understand it, you're going to be like, this is amazing. Because at first, when I was going through and learning on my own, I was like, it's kind of confusing. But you know what? Let me just give you a better view so you can visually understand this. So let's say this is your Google REST API right here, right? And then we'll call this the client side. So on the client side, which I am gonna be calling it from here. So just so you have better understanding, I have this URL, right? So we'll just put it over here because this is client and this is server. Okay. Go back. And here we go. Come on. There we go. Perfect. So we have a client. Then we have server. And on the server side, this thing is going to have this. It's just going to call it. And whenever this on the server side is called, then this is going to run this code. And when this code's run, what it's going to do is it's going to give you the output on the client side. So think of it this way. It's like an AJAX request, if you will, if you ever use PHP or any other AJAX request, right? So you make a call from your client side, it goes to PHP, and then from PHP, it goes to database, and then database back. So this is your server, your database. But instead of you hitting your database, you're just doing it right within the PHP code, right? So I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know in the comment below if I confuse you or you're like, this is good. I got it. I'm moving on. Let's go. All right. That's cool. So in here, when the document is loaded under the app.js, we are calling the class by calling it here because we already included it up top here. So let's just continue with this. So we got this line of code that says, hey, go get me the file data for all of this. And then we have another line called this, hey, go get me the file data for app.js. And then I'm using this encrypted file thing where I'm saying input data, include this variable, which is the content of the browser data collector, and then this variable, which is the content of the app.js, and then do this mumbo jumbo thing that you're good at, and then minify it, and then use eval, which means enable it. So you will see soon enough that this is like pretty cool. So when you're done with this, assign it to this variable and then echo out, and when the output of that content will be in a JavaScript. So let's go on with that, and I'll show you one quick little trip that you can use in your development and in your testing. In your production. So right now, this is production ready, where it's going to be a little difficult to people to understand what actually is happening. And for the regular person, they wouldn't know, right? So let's go to the app.js. So in here, I'm just initiating the class, and then I'm saying get this function, call it out, and then meaning console it out. And then I'm saying over here, nothing special. I'm just basically saying print it to the document and then format it in this little blue, black, and orange color. So let's see what that looks like. So it looks like this. So when it loads up, boom, it happens fairly quickly. And I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's go here. So you look at here. It's changing, it's changing, it's changing. Obviously, nothing is changing in besides this one because the data is always going to be the same. So that's not going to do anything. It's still under the Windows, Google Chrome, so on and so forth. But if you go further down, the amount of data you get is pretty cool. So for example, this right here, this is at desktop. So if I put it under the browser, the mobile version. So let's see if it does it or not. I don't know if it's going to let me do it or not. Oh, it did. Okay, cool. So device now is that mobile portrait mode. If it's landscape, then it's landscape, right? So if I move it out, go back out, and then here, and then we will go over here. So now we have a desktop. So you can use this particular script function class for your own desire. So for example, if you want to know where this particular file was located, localhost, blah, 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 blah. So that's what's happening in here. So the cool trick that I wanted to show you was, so let's say this is the source code for this. If I click on this, it's going to show you all this mumbo jumbo. You're like, I don't know what that means. It's just a bunch of numbers, right? So one cool trick that you can use based on in here, just set this little line over here to false, right? And then if you refresh it, same URL, and then you will get something that is more readable. So the top portion is already minified, and then bottom portion automatically minifies it for you. But if you don't want that minified to be on, you could just say minify off or false. And then this will also go ahead and unminify anything that is as is. So it's going to print it as is. So you have the flexibility to minify it and then decode it in a way that is makes it a little more challenging to understand what the hell that numbers are mean. So for example, let's go back here. So we're gonna go first minify it. So it's gonna make it all into one line. Boom, gone. And then we're gonna take it one step further. We're gonna go here and say, hey, do your mumbo jumbo thing. Make it even more difficult for an average person to look at it and understand what the hell this is. So over here, boom, done. So that is that for that. So this is how you can create yourself a API like, let me close this up. I don't need it. Like Google does. So you can, now you have the knowledge on creating APIs like that, like Google. And then also, if you hop on over to Coder Income, I have an upcoming course that is going to be teaching you how you use your coding skill to find yourself a place where you become the founder. Founder being you have a SaaS company, like I have a SaaS company. I have a couple of them actually. SarkLink is one of them, where creators can go in there, sell their courses, their download digital things like Notion templates or PDFs or whatever, or services. Let's say, for example, if you have a service where you want to charge somebody over the internet, you can use this particular platform. And we have over 500 people currently, I think, and counting as of I think 2 months ago. I haven't checked the numbers yet, but it's growing steadily every single month. So if you in the market for looking for something that is simply amazing and you just need that one link that will help you run your online business, Sark link will be one of them. But if you want to learn how you can create platforms like this, hop on over to coderincome.com and sign up for the early bird thing. So that way, when the course becomes available, which will be very soon, you will be the first one to know and take advantage of it. So you can build your SaaS company. So you will no longer be a coder, you will be a founder. And if you don't subscribe, you are never gonna hear from me ever again.